No, but I mean, it's easy to do
There we are.
from any YouTube video. So
We're live.
Right. Okay, so according to my clock, it's 3:40 exactly. 15:40 start. Cool. Should we send something out on social media? Be like, hey, we're live.
Just wait till 5.
All right. We
gave people an idea that it was going to be at like 5 o'clock. Is there any weird echo or anything? Because I'm in a bigger room.
No, you sound fine.
Okay. I hear myself.
Is that a new headset?
No, same.
Okay. All right. You need to get some kind of a foam.
I do. Well, my thought was I was going to have one stolen from work, but I haven't had the opportunity yet.
Talk to John. Like, hey,
give
me solid.
He's TDY.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, all right. There we go. It's working.
Oh, good. We're live.
Yep. Gonna lean us back just a smidge.
Did you see the notes? I noticed you didn't.
I didn't add anything. I'm not gonna leave this in the background. We know it's working. That flipping back and forth is going to drive me insane if I try and watch it.
Yeah, it bugs me too. But
now, my question was: is there a different like output that we could do? Like, you remember how when we were going through the setup, there was like different encoders. You wonder if there's a different encoder that can, maybe handle the video a little bit differently. Maybe something worth researching.
Yeah, I can look into it. Yeah, I'll put it on the list.
How's your testing been going?
Really easy. I tested out of the IT fundamentals course, so it was the 2 blocks. Very, very easy.
Right.
But it helped me get into that, schoolhouse mindset. Sure. It was a good way to kind of ease me into it, I think.
Absolutely.
So, all right, I'm closing a bunch of windows. Hopefully this doesn't fuck up our call.
Yeah, I've got pretty much everything closed except for, oops, let me close this one Windows, this one word.
All right, I've got what I believe is the chat open on the side here. So let me just, hello.
Yep.
All right. I would imagine anybody that's watching can chat. Hopefully.
I think the chat's probably limited to just the Google Hangout, I would imagine.
No, because I've seen when like YouTubers and podcasters go live on YouTube, there's a running chat in there that the person who's streaming can see. So like people sending questions and all that shit. In fact, you know what? I'm going to text Kristen right now and tell her to hop in and try and say something in chat and see if we see it.
There you go. Good thinking.
That's what they pay me for. Oh, speaking of which, apparently my promotion thing is still allegedly in limbo. It is not 100% set in stone yet.
Who's saying that?
I talked to Dragon earlier today. He mentioned it.
Fucking ass clown. Why today? Just randomly?
No, he'd asked me to call him this weekend, and so I did.
Like I said, Fortner, when I talked to him, it said that, that Dragon and those guys basically made their own issue by, even mentioning some CRG bullshit. And Fortner said he strained all that out with Joint Force headquarters, and you should be good to go. So,
okay, well, we'll see. I guess if I get a call tomorrow or Tuesday saying, "Hey, your board time is Sunday at this time," then I'll be good.
Oh, we got a whole week for them to give you the runaround and then just fucking call you out of the blue.
Yeah. Still texting Kristen. Do our YouTube live and say something in chat to make sure we can see it. It says we have 3 viewers. Hey, if you're a viewer and you're listening, type something in chat so we can see if it's coming through or not. because I'm not viewing from any of my own devices.
Well, I've got one, but actually, I'm viewing it from us. So hang on, I'd have to switch YouTube things or something.
Yeah, don't be logged in with us because that may mess shit up because I'm streaming from our account.
Oh wait, I don't know which account I'm in. I'll be honest with you. It can't be. It is. Let's go to.
Still says that we're live, so that's good.
Yeah. All right, I'm signed in as a different person. One of many.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck it. I might as well hop in with mine too.
Got 3 thumbs up, so that's nice.
Cool. Well, thank you to whoever did that. Ooh, All Things Star Wars live stream.
Yeah, is this episode 46?
46.
3 thumbs up.
Or no.
That's nice.
I wrote 46. Is it not 46? Yeah, it is. I even have it right there in the fucking outline. I can see and hear you, but can't comment. Fuck. I know there's a way to let people chat. Technology. Still gotta figure it out. Hey, we got 61 subscribers now.
Woohoo.
And we're getting there. Almost to that 100 mark. So,
dude, it's don't placate to the usual listeners out there. Fucking start creating. People got to start creating some shit. Make things happen.
Yeah.
I don't have the time to sit and create YouTube accounts just to get us to 100.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work.
I could eliminate this glare from my fucking screen off my glasses.
Oh yeah, I get it too when I lift my face up like that. See that?
Yeah.
All that glare. So I got to kind of keep my head tilted low. So
I wonder if there's like a filter I can put on the screen.
Kristen says she can comment, but I'm not seeing anything in the chat.
Probably comment on the.
Or that says group chat. Where's control room, cameraman, screen share, chat?
Wait, what's.
Oh, I see Kristen created a new Google account to subscribe to us, unless there's a different MS Supergirl 3000 out there.
Oh, yeah, I see. So this chat, it looks like when I hit like top chat on my phone, it says create a channel to join the chat. Sure. Why not? Could possibly go wrong. What happened? Where'd it go? I'm having trouble with the radar, sir.
You don't need that. We're right here.
I'm having trouble with the radar, sir. All right, there it is.
I don't even see chat in mine.
2 watching now. So, like, I'm looking at on my phone right here. Check it.
Yeah.
So, see, here's my phone.
I
can you make that out?
No, look, not at all.
Look, see, there's you.
Oh, that was me.
So look down at the bottom. It says right by my finger there. It says top chat.
Oh shit! There it is. Oh shit!
So there's a bunch of traffic.
Oh shit! Okay, so I guess I'm gonna have to keep this up. Okay, so we've got Bronco Fett's in here. Payne King. Not 100% sure who that is. Just Fresh. I would imagine that's Just Fresh 64.
So the chat's working, but it's not the same group chat that we're using in Hangouts. That's the difference.
What the fuck? Why doesn't it just put it on the goddamn screen for me?
I don't know.
It's fucking stupid.
So if we were going to chat as whatever, if we're going to include it, we'd have to be separate. It'd have to be like, is this thing on?
Oh, actually, well, I guess I could. I guess I could keep it up in a separate browser on my desktop, but that would take up a lot of bandwidth, and I'm trying to conserve bandwidth with this hotspot.
All right. Well, so at least we know that we're broadcasting. Just the chat's not going to be as intuitive as we would like.
Yeah. So, but I can see all the chats from my phone. So We
Same.
will address them if and when it becomes necessary. So, anyway,
hey, and Bronco Fett, just so you know, I haven't gotten over to the studio yet to pick up your shirt, so I'm still working on it. I gotta get over to the studio and start getting work done as soon as my home projects are done. That's like number. I got a kitchen cabinet to take down and put back up. That's like the next major project, and then after that, then I'll have time for other things. Between that and the VA, trying to get the VA shit squared away.
Hold on, let me. It's not too distracting, is it? Me being lower like this, because when I'm up that high, I gotta kind of like hunch forward, and it's killing my fucking back.
It's extremely distracting, and I would prefer it if you leaned over.
All right, then I'm gonna stay like this. What did I have to say to? Oh yeah, I've got something about Bronco Fett in the notes here when we actually start the show.
Is Wilford Brinkley a Star Wars actor? I don't think so.
Do you know who this person is?
It was Bronco Fett just asked. Is Wilford Brinkley? Wilford Brinkley, you know who that is.
Do I?
From Cocoon, Diabetes. I got diabetes.
Oh, no, he's never been in Star Wars.
I'm pretty sure.
All right, I'm closing this fucking group chat that is worthless. So,
well, it could be just in between us. We could like communicate. Like if we just want to type something that we don't want other people to see.
That's true.
Like your balls are showing.
Yeah. Bump away a tuna.
All right.
So yeah, I'm guessing about half of this show is just going to be the whole getting caught up, talking about shit that's been going on outside of Thrawn. But we will get into the Thrawn stuff.
Brimley Ewoks.
What?
Wilford Brimley Ewoks. I'm curious as to what's
fucking Google it.
Line of thinking. Yeah. Excuse me.
Googled Wilford Brimley Star Wars. Oh, he was in the second Ewok Adventure movie.
Does that count?
Does
it count as being a Star Wars actor if he's in? I mean, I guess so.
He was not an Ewok. He was an actual human character in the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you're still watching at least the first Ewok Adventure.
Am I?
Podcast. Oh yeah, for the podcast.
Really? Oh, okay.
It's happening.
Uh-huh.
When, I'm not sure, but it's happening. So
about the same time you watch Rebels. I'm trying to get caught up. I haven't had time to actually just sit down and watch television. So,
how much of season 3 have you watched of Rebels?
None.
Okay, because apparently all the fucking characters in this book are all over in Rebels. Fucking well, we'll get into it when we talk about the show or when we get to the show.
Yeah, I've watched all of season 2, and then I started watching season 4 when it was just like all the kind of the reveals were starting to happen, and you know shit like that was going on. I'm like, fuck, I gotta watch it. I don't give a shit what Jason says.
Yeah, and Bronco in this instance, I would say yes, he does count.
Care Bears hooked on drugs.
And for everybody that's in the chat, just Fresh 64, Bronco Fett, Pain King, if you haven't created 3 to 4 Google accounts to subscribe to us, what's wrong with you? Please do so. Not necessarily now, but we got to get those numbers up. What's that meme with what's his name? You know, all right. Like, you got to get those numbers up.
You talking about Matthew McConaughey?
Yes.
What's near my feet? Oh, it's my bag. God, I need more permanent setup. Oh my God.
Is this going to be where you record from this whole time? Like while I'm gone?
Not in this configuration. No, I don't have I've got a pop-up table right now and a folding chair. My containers of stuff from the office are kind of around me. So before I'm going to paint down here because it's going to be like the once I get all my retirement, give some prizes, I'm going to put all of that stuff down here. So I want to kind of paint the walls and spiffy it up a little bit before all that happens. So shit'll be in boxes for a few weeks. And then, somewhere in one of these boxes is a Thrawn novel I was going to take out and actually put like behind me or something as like a backdrop. But
you know what I didn't do that I wanted to do before this episode was buy the first comic and see how that was, but I never got around to it.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
I think Bronco Fett had said but thank you for getting the wife to subscribe. Get her to subscribe like 4 or 5 more times, and also all of her friends. Yes. What was I going to say? Shit, lost my train of thought.
We're talking about the Thrawn comic. You said something about Bronco Fett.
Oh, I thought I saw that he had bought the comics on Instagram.
Well, I think there's only one out right now. The first one.
Comic, then. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's singular. Yeah. So I've got my iPad set up. Got the notes are up, even though I'm not doing a whole lot. What are we going to do for toasting?
We're not. I figured we should just go ahead and put the toasting on hold because we can't really remotely toast. So we are going to have to figure out a different way to cling start the show. So start brainstorming that. How do we start the show? I could just go right into our preamble.
We could. I mean, that'd probably be the easiest thing.
Yeah, at least for this week. And then if we think of a new way to start the show, we can start it.
Click against the mic. What's that mean?
Like, click my fucking mug against the mic.
Oh.
I don't know how good that would sound.
Consider how loud that was when you put it down on the desk.
Oh, it was pretty loud.
I'm still probably going to end up buying a USB mic. Once I get things settled down here, I'll get a separate USB mic.
You should.
And also get a pop filter for this how you doing.
So yeah, this is the second version of this mug that I have bought since I've been here because I bought one on the first day. Or not the first day, but like first couple of days. Brought it back, started washing it because I wasn't going to use it until I washed it once. And I dropped it while I was washing it and broke the fucking thing.
Nice.
God damn it. So
you ended up not bringing any mugs from the house?
No, I probably should have, but I was trying to minimize the amount of shit that I brought with me. And in hindsight, I totally fucked up with my packing and what I ended up bringing. And
of course.
So yeah, it was all wrong. So I'll know for next time. Next time I get retrained.
Sorry. Yeah, don't. Next time, don't.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to stay in that shit. What's the status of your living quarters? You're just going to stay there?
I'll get into that when we start the show. I've got a note in there for it.
Do you know?
Yeah. Again, did you look at the notes?
I did. I didn't see anything that... No, there's nothing in here.
Well, I meant to put something in there.
Well, sorry. Due to our lack of proximity, my ability to have our psychic connection wasn't working. So,
hold on, I'm typing it in right now.
Yes, your wife told you to pack a mug, and I remember she was. I remember standing in the room.
You were there. Yeah. No, I don't know.
Maybe this chat thing while we're on live isn't such a good idea.
Yeah. Oh shit, she's watching too. That's good stuff. So anyway, I've got the whole. You see the structure I have in the notes.
Yep.
couple of announcements in the beginning. Then we'll kind of catch up like sort of a weekend Star Wars-ish, but like not a whole lot of Star Wars focus. Got a couple of things to bring it around to Star Wars. Then we got a really good day in Star Wars when we get to that. And then we'll roll into Thrawn.
All right. Well, it's 5 o'clock now. We told people that we'd be live at 5.
Okay.
Eastern Standard Time.
The best idea I've ever had. What was the best idea I've ever had? To not pack a mug? Great. She's trolling me. My wife's going to be trolling me the whole time we record the podcast now. It's great.
I love it. I should
right.
probably. That's okay. That would get better if I turned it sideways. Nope. That just makes the chat disappear.
Oh,
never mind.
We're up to 8 viewers. So hello, everybody who's joined us. The official podcast is about to go live. We're just kind of wrapping some things up. I fucking finished all my tea already. God damn it.
Really?
I got water here.
Oh, good. So what's the over-under for pee breaks?
Oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen at least once. That's a given.
For the listening audience.
Yeah. So Tom says it's 3 p.m. where he is. He must be on Mountain Time in Idaho. Idaho, yeah. That's right. Boise State. BSU. And I think it's finally becoming clear to me why he doesn't like Steve Young. So after following him on Instagram for a while now, I might have an idea why he has the hatred for Steve. So anyway, so we still need to do silence. We'll do that leading up to the like the intro and the preamble and all that.
All right. So
we'll do that. So let me write the start time. We'll say 16. Yeah, we'll do it in the next 2 minutes. So 03 show start. Anything else before we start?
Nope.
All right. So give me 30 seconds. I need to find a fucking clock somewhere that's actually got a ticking timer on it. Hold on. I think I have a timer on the smartwatch. There we go. Timer. Look at that. Stopwatch. All right.
I got a second hand on my smartwatch.
Yeah. All right. 30 seconds, and then we'll roll right into the show. Starting now. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to All Things Star Wars, the greatest Star Wars podcast in the galaxy. We are not coming to you live from Star Killer Studios this week. Let me write an edit in there. Edit.
Already, straight from the get-go.
I know. God damn it, I fucked it up. It's because we're not in the studio. So
it's the mojo, baby.
Yeah, and we are recording via Google Hangouts. So my exodus has begun. I am here in beautiful Mississippi, and I'm not being sarcastic when I say that either. It is fucking beautiful down here right now. And I've left Dave behind in lovely New Jersey, as I'm sure the weather is just as good out there right now, isn't it?
It is. It's actually not that bad today. Sun's out, blue skies. I believe it's in the mid 40s today.
Ooh, mid 40s
with a 25-mile-an-hour wind. Gusting about 25 miles an hour. Dude,
nice,
it was an absolute fucking shit show here over the past couple of days. We had, it's going to be a heavy rain event, and then turned into, let's throw a couple inches of snow on the ground out of nowhere and have complete whiteout for a while. So it was an interesting weekend.
Yeah,
Friday into Saturday for sure.
Well, I don't know if you can really tell on video here, but the day that shit rolled through Jersey, I got a sunburn because I went out for a run on the beach down here in Mississippi, and I just got a little bit too much sun. So
wait, Jason, you know what? I did have something for you right here. It's there it is.
I knew that was coming. Nice. And that is exclusive for the people who are watching us live on YouTube Live right now. So I know we were recording the podcast over Twitch, before, but we've kind of made the change due to my remote location and everything else. Google is where we're going to be doing it. So through YouTube Live, if you want to watch us as we record, we'll push it out there on our Facebook page at least a few days in advance and let you know what time. But yeah, YouTube Live is where it's at from now on. And if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, for fuck's sake, would you fucking do it already and create a few extra accounts and do it also in the meantime? Because I know there's more than 61 of you motherfuckers out there listening. I know it. I've seen the download numbers.
I put a passioned plea on Instagram too, because that's where we have a lot of following. And still, I think we got like maybe 2 or 3 more out of that.
Yeah. Which it was something, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
I was just answering some of the chat here on the YouTube feed. Excuse me. Oh man, boy, glorious Diet Coke burps. Awesome.
Good to see some things haven't changed in my absence.
That's right. Just no glass. So if I get a separate mic set up, then I can do the pouring and everything else. So we'll get there. We'll get there. We have a few weeks. To get there.
Yeah, this is our first episode out the gate doing this whole remote recording. So if things seem a little see, everything's all fucked up. So if things seem a little off, that's why. We'll get back.
just because we're off.
Yeah. So anyway, what are we talking about today?
It's the Thrawn finally. Well, actually, probably it's just like what you kind of mentioned before we started. For the audio guys that aren't watching here on YouTube, we're probably going to talk more about what's going on with Jason, how his living situation is down there, and what I've been doing. And we're going to do that for probably about 35, 40 minutes. And then we'll talk about Thrawn. Yeah, finally. It took Jason a year to friggin' read it. And then now we're finally caught up. Well, read.
Yeah, I was
air quote read,
too, yeah.
Otherwise known as an audio cheating book.
Hey, I've got a lot to say about that too. I mean, I can still see you.
All right, fair enough.
That's great. So anyway,
chair in a corner of my family room. Just everything's everything is crazy.
Yeah. So it'll be nice to get back into the studio 8 months from now. So anyway,
well, indeed.
Let's take care of some business first. Good news, everybody. All of our backlog of episodes has been missing since we made the switch from AudioStack back to Libsyn. Well, I found a little loophole that got all of our shit back into our current Libsyn account. So if you go into our feed now, you'll see that every one of our older episodes are now back into our normal feed. So
specifically on Libsyn, right?
Yes.
And
all of our
accounts. So you'll be able to go on iTunes and see all the past accounts as well.
Yeah, and if you're, following us on Stitcher, Google Play, any of those other ones, it's all updated on those as well. So if you have any issue at this point seeing any of our episodes, then it's something on your end because everything's correct now. So, but hit us up if you are having problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And highly encouraged to listen to some of the older episodes too, because it's good stuff and there's always good content.
Yeah. So instead of doing a week in Star Wars like we normally do, we're going to kind of do what we've been up to since my Exodus. So It's been kind of transparent to everybody else, but it's been a while since we've done this. It's been at least weeks, almost 3 weeks.
Honestly, the Exodus recording wasn't even the last recording that we did. So
yeah,
we did the. Wait, how did that go? We did
It was the
2 recordings, the Exodus day. The Exodus recording day, and then we did another recording.
Yeah, we recorded the timeline episode, the Old Republic timeline episode.
Timeline, that's right.
After we recorded the Exodus episode, but we released them.
Who can remember these things?
I don't know. But we were wise by front loading our recordings because now we were able to release them while I was getting situated here.
Yeah, honestly, dude, that time fucking flew by too. I can't believe we're already at that point where you're a couple weeks into, or a week plus into the Exodus.
Yeah, no, today is day 15 of me being here in Mississippi. And
so where's the Ray style scratching of the days?
Oh, it's on the wall behind the monitors.
Is it? Damn it! Yeah. All right,
so I'll
fill that in with toothpaste before you check out, then you'll be fine.
So yeah, since I've been here, I haven't had a whole lot of time to do Star Wars related stuff. Like the big thing that I've been doing is kind of getting back on the whole health and fitness track. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, that's pretty much all I've been posting for the last 2 weeks. It's just like stuff from me running, output from my Fitbit. And, you know, like I said, in the 15 days that I've been here, crockpot cooking, yes. Yep. And in the 15 days that I've been here, I have exercised every single day since I've been here. And of those 15 days, I've done weightlifting 10 of the days. And at a minimum, I've always at least run or done yoga on every single day. But yeah, I've been doing all kinds of shit, like exercise, weightlifting, like we were kind of talking about before I left. And and I've been eating really well too. I've been eating at the chow hall for the most part, or cooking for myself. I've been watching what I eat, eating good meals as opposed to shit food. For drinking wise, haven't had a drop of alcohol since I left. In fact, the only beverages that I've consumed since I left are water, coffee, and tea. So, and to work off the 5 months of New Jersey winter that I built up before I left, which is essentially when the New Jersey winters come, I want to be active. I don't want to exercise, and I want to eat anything and everything gets in my way. So
it's that hibernation thing.
Yeah. So, and it happens to be pretty much every year. I pick up a bunch of weight. My gut starts getting bigger and bigger. And then for the first few months in spring, I have to work on getting kind of back into shape where I was before. But this year I got to start early because the day I fucking got here, it was 70 degrees and sunny. And I'm like, this is amazing. And it's been this way since I got here.
I'll enjoy it because fucking July and August will be here before you fucking know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
and you won't be able to go outside until friggin' 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah. It's lucky. It does get pretty miserable. I do remember that. But for now, I'm enjoying this because it's been fucking beautiful. Yeah, Love it right now.
Again, I have a whole pile of things for you down here if you really need them.
Pile of...
Hang on. Let me grab another one. It's like, oh, there it is. There it is.
Gotcha.
Fell for it again.
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice.
Well,
fool me can't get fooled again.
I did want to mention that I am not necessarily envious because I am on my well, actually, I'll be honest. I haven't really given a fuck about my diet or anything else, or I haven't been to the gym in like 3 months. You know, since I knew I got my retirement date and everything else. So I've kind of been in that. It's that for military guys, it's that state where like, oh, I took my last PT test or I took a PT test. Now I have like 3 months to just eat like a shit bag and then, then start studying for my next PT test. Can you hear my dogs barking?
I can. Yes. It's pretty loud.
And that's fucking, hang on. Ready?
Shut up. That did not block out your voice at all, by the way.
No, not even a little bit.
Right, no.
That's good. We'll fix it in post. But anyway, yeah, so I'm watching you do all your running and fucking crockpot cooking and all this other bullshit. And you're like, you know what? If that's what you need to do to stay sane down there, good on you. You know, hopefully you come back and you're nice and fit and everything else. But you know what? Yeah. I wish I could say it was motivating me to like maybe even something. And I'm like, wow, look at how boring that is. I'm like, I would be so fucking bored. But you're also the same guy that we'd be on trips together where you would disappear for fucking, we'd be somewhere for 3 weeks. And for 2.5 of those weeks, I wouldn't even see you because you'd be in your room, cooking everything else. So you have the mentality to be able to do that. I do not.
Yeah,
I would go absolutely stir crazy. I'd be leaping out of that window to try and get out and do something else. But good on you. Good on you. I'm glad. But what I would like to see is if you're going to be posting on Instagram, take a moment to maybe post something on the All Things Star Wars Instagram as well. And you could even put crockpot cooking on the All Things Star Wars. I don't care. Just content, baby. Content.
That's true. Yeah.
Don't just rely straight on me because I got shit going on too.
Yeah, I have been kind of neglecting that. But what I was going to say was, with the intensity and with as much as I'm doing here, it's making the days go by really fast. Like, and I feel like I don't have time to do anything.
You wake up at 4 o'clock in the fucking morning and then you go to bed at like Oh, what? 8 o'clock Central Time. I was like, let me text Jason. Oh, wait, it's after 8 o'clock Central Time, so I know I won't see anything. And then he'll send me a text at fucking 4:45 in the fucking morning. Like, you know what? Suck a bag of dicks. Like,
well, and of course,
your early ass.
There was one night we've got this group text messaging thing between you, me, and John. And I think he had initiated it. I had been in bed for like 45 minutes at that point. I was just to the point where I'm like asleep, but like still kind of like on alert. And all of a sudden my phone just like bling, 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 bling. I'm like, fuck, what's going on? And then I looked over and it was like you guys talking in a group chat. I'm like, I ain't dealing with this right now. So, but anyway, something I wanted to bring up. As much as I've been, watching what I eat and everything, I did do breakfast at Waffle House one morning because, I've been burning off a lot of calories, been exercising a lot. I should treat myself at least once a week. And I fucking love Waffle House. They're all over the place down here. I never get them up in New Jersey. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll try it once. Bronco Fett, longtime listener and contributor to the show, had never even heard of Waffle House when I posted this shit on Instagram. Like, I don't know if he was just trolling me or what, but he's like, no, I never heard of it.
I mean, that's a Southern thing. I mean, unless you'd have to go down the South to get to a Waffle House.
But never even heard of it? And wasn't he in the Army? I would imagine they've sent him around at least a little bit.
Okay. So while that may very well be the case, and he could have even trained down South somewhere, do you think they let the Army guys just off base? This is the Air Force, man.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I don't know how they deal with stuff.
There's a reason we have the market cornered on the on being the best service.
Yeah. So one more thing about like the healthy eating and fitness and all that, and then I'll drop it. So you know how there's chow halls on every Air Force base.
Lies.
You know how there's chow halls on every Air Force base that people eat at, and that's where all the new kids have to eat for their first several weeks while they're here. And I have the option.
I believe it's called the DFAC, Jason.
Yes, it's now the dining facility, and
it's been the DFAC. Like, how many times we're in the fucking D? Yeah, see that?
Yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Anyway. So, I'm in there. When I go there, I get like a salad with like fucking spinach and not lettuce and all kinds of good stuff and fat-free dressing. And then I get like a big slice of meat and water. That's my lunch and dinner. And then every fucking time I have to walk by, because nothing's changed in these chow halls in 20 years, like nope. the food that they offer and everything else, with one exception. And that is, I walk by this fucking dessert rack, and it used to just be like a little spindle with like 2 different kinds of cake, and maybe like a pudding or something. Also, no, this is like some fucking beautiful monstrosity. Now it's like 7 different kinds of fucking cake, a few different kinds of pie, fucking all kinds of like yogurt and shit, like Jello, fucking pudding, all kinds of shit. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Oh, but that's not all. Off to the side in its own separate kiosk, it's got a person that has to work there just for this thing. It's a big ice cream bar. It's got like fucking a dozen flavors of ice cream, all kinds of fucking toppings and all that shit. They have to pay somebody to just man that because it's so big and so popular. And I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Like this is why people are failing fitness tests in the Air Force.
That's not why.
Well,
that's not why. Just because you're being like in the notes. Let me talk about the notes real quick, where it says how Jason's not giving into temptations. Yeah, he's not, because he's just gonna piss and moan about it, and he actually has some fucking intestinal fortitude. Which, again, good on you. I would not. The only thing that would save me from that fucking ice cream bar would be my lactose intolerance. But I guarantee you there's a fucking carrot cake in that fucking spindle of goodness.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd be eating the shit out of that carrot cake.
Oh, I used to too back in the day. I used to always just love the vanilla cake with the vanilla frosting. That was always my favorite because of the frosting they used.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm
if you can keep this up for all this time, you're going to come back and you're going to, need a beer when you fucking get back.
Oh yeah,
your metabolism's going to be so fucked up once you get back to Jersey, where there's actually like decent food. Like you can't swing a fucking dead possum around without hitting a pizza place that has some of the best pizza ever. You know, I think some of it has to do with your lack of opportunity to get decent food.
There's some good places down here, though. There's a lot of restaurants, a shitload of restaurants right outside the base. Yeah, and I actually did go to that Slap Your Mama's barbecue place. And all I got was meat. Or meat and beans. I didn't like get any bread or any of the other bad shit. And yeah, it was all right.
Are you still doing the fasting?
No, I've stopped that because as much as I'm exercising and working out, I need the calories. Like I'm not like super loading up on calories, but I'm not skipping breakfast anymore because I kind of need that to kind of help get me through the day and spread out my calories.
I was curious because you get up so goddamn early. I was curious if you were still doing that.
Yeah, no, I'm just doing like plain
fasting.
Yeah, I'm doing plain Quaker oats in the morning and my protein supplement. So,
ooh,
yeah,
sounds exciting.
It is.
This is the most exciting Star Wars fucking shit ever. Jason's goddamn diet. I'm gonna slap an Empire sticker on your fucking crock pot for the next time you're making this shit.
Well, the next thing in my notes actually is something along those lines because I mentioned before I left that I was thinking about getting a tattoo while I'm here, something Star Wars related, and I'm still going to do it. And I posted something on our Facebook page about the Empire logo. Should I get the Empire logo in the traditional black and white or the red and black? And a majority of people, you included, said go with the red and black.
Yeah, after like, oh, Dave's not answering my text. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not up at fucking 7 a.m. when I don't need to be.
This was after 7 a.m. I wouldn't text that early.
Oh, I beg to differ, sir.
All right, pull up the text then. Tell me what time it came through. But anyway, while he's doing that, I'm going to get it on my left pectoral muscle here. It's going to be the Empire, the traditional Empire logo in red and black. And I'm thinking about on my left shoulder, the back of my left shoulder, getting the Sith Empire logo with the Sith code written underneath it. So I posted
17 Eastern Standard Time is when you sent that.
So it was not 7. Thank you.
It was 7 for you.
Most Americans are up by 8 o'clock, Dave.
I'm retired. Or so I keep telling myself.
Yeah. So I've got a whole bunch of Star Wars tattoo ideas in the works. I'm probably going to wait at least another month or two before I actually pull the trigger on this. But yeah, the first one I'm going to get is going to be the Empire logo on the chest. So
very good.
Yeah, and I will push pictures of that all over Instagram and everything else.
I told you should go Instagram Live for the whole thing.
Yep. Now, some bad news also related to Star Wars. We had talked about doing a lot of like Battlefront 2 while I'm here. Mm-hmm. Well, because of the way my living situation worked out, the way I was planning on staying here kind of fell through. So my internet is more limited where I'm at, specifically as the Xbox is concerned. I tried logging into Battlefront and it was not working. The lag was just like way too shitty with the Wi-Fi that I have. So at least for now, that might be out. I'll try to re-engage in a couple of weeks when I have some more free time coming up. But for now, yeah, the whole Battlefront thing is out.
Sad face. I know we're trying to get you to 100. You know, there's some content that was coming out this month for Battlefront 2. Yep. So I have a feeling for some of those things, I might be doing it solo and then bringing it to the podcast and giving my reaction.
Yeah.
Just from my perspective, it'd be nice to, use some of your IT skills to hack in to get yourself a hard line.
Yeah. I'm not giving up yet, but for now I'm kind of on hold with the Xbox. But what's weird is my computer runs great on the internet that I have. So I've been able to do whatever I want on my computer. So with that, do you see like a flashing light, like a constant like flashing light, or is that just me? All right.
I think it's just you. Yeah. I'll pay more attention to it for the next time.
Yeah, it keeps looking like something's like dimming and then lightening. Maybe it's just because of the screen flipping back and forth. Anyway, my computer works and I've been hopping back onto the Old Republic. I haven't really done anything serious on there yet because I got to figure out what it is I want to actually do, because I could complete the main story with my trooper, or I could run through one of the other class storylines that I haven't finished yet. So it's something I got to think about. But if you still are interested in playing, we can try to coordinate some play sessions.
I know
down the road.
I know that you've been busy getting settled in, and I've been busy too.
Yeah.
So I haven't really had a chance to really play anything. The couple times I've logged into, even on Xbox, I spent some time playing Destiny, just because, and yeah, it was more fun, like getting into Battlefront and playing like with you and being able to interact with you on there was like more fun. And Battlefront 2, I'll get into that once this update pushes and I have a reason to.
Yeah, because we still got to see exactly how they're going to change the progression system and all that.
Yeah, so we'll definitely look into that. But yeah, we're talking about our weeks in Star Wars. I haven't really, I'll be honest with you, I haven't done much of anything for Star Wars. It has been, I am busier now since I've been quote unquote retired than I've been in months, because I've had I've had home projects that I've wanted to get done that I started doing while I was in terminal leave, and getting that fixed up. I put a new front door in. You
did do the front door, huh?
I did do the front door. Yeah, Kathy got me to do it, and I did it, and the house didn't fall down around me. So hooray!
Score.
So front door is in. Got my crawl space all cleaned out. I got it situated where I wanted it. So that's all good. I got some work in the kitchen I got to do, some more of an immediate nature with some of the cabinetry. Nothing like renovation style. It's just more fixing some stuff that, cabinet was falling down a couple years back, and I was like, oh, okay. Bang, slammed a friggin' piece of wood into it so it wouldn't fall the rest of the way. And now 5 years later, I'm going to finally get to it next week. So I've had that. And then, there's a lot of stuff, when you retire Air Force wise, it's like things you wouldn't think about, but being on the phone with the insurance company and getting that shit all squared away, getting the new dental plan and making sure all that stuff turns over, trying to deal with the weighing out processing bullshit and things like that. So I've been really busy doing that. And then I've had all the Freemason stuff with Lodge, where I've been doing a lot of admin shit with that. So there hasn't been much time to do Star Wars related stuff. And also like I alluded to, I think a little bit earlier, I'm in a temporary lodging situation myself with, I had been set up before when we would do Skype. We have an office, we have a 4th bedroom, and my wife runs a business, so she needs that space more than I do. So I'm going to convert the family room into where I'm going to put all my stuff for my gifts and prizes for retirement, and have space for Star Wars stuff and things like that. I'm going to redo the family room. So I'll be surrounded by boxes and crates and shit for a while. Until that happens. And then, at the same time, probably the next big thing Star Wars related I'll do is get over to the studio and start working over in there.
Yep. Now, you mentioned you stopped by that Play With This Toys and Collectibles.
I did.
How was that?
So, shit. That's put away. I did buy, and I ended up buying something in there. They had a, well, I went in there and I mentioned to the guy, like, hey, my friend Jason, who hosts this podcast, you guys were talking, and he was like, oh yeah. You could tell he was like, this guy's a little crazy. I don't know if I remember. And then after talking to him for a while, he finally remembered about the podcast and, not being able to play it in the store because of too many fucking F-bombs.
Yeah.
And so I wandered around the store. A lot of neat stuff in there. Not just Star Wars. I mean, that whole back corner is like all Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
And remarkable. And I think we're going to talk about it a little bit later what our next topic's going to be. But you talk about, the toys that made us and how Episode 1, so many of those toys just didn't sell. He's got a lot of Episode 1 shit in there that's basically worthless. But he had some cool stuff in there. And the one thing I ended up getting, his prices are stupid reasonable too. I was like really, really surprised. But I had what are you doing?
My chair just slowly went back down to the bottom. So I had to raise
for those that see this is it's almost like we're in the studio because I'm watching him, right? And he's in the chair and he's going like this back and forth thing. And he's flying around and it's like the light's reflecting off his shaved head. And he's like, what are you doing? Jesus Christ. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway. So I went to the store. They had I don't even know how tall it is, but they had a TIE Pilot. It was something they released in '97. There was like a limited edition run of like a Chewbacca they made, like a Yoda, but it was like old school G.I. Joe size, with the original New Hope TIE Pilot uniform on, like
nice.
know the way the plastic was and everything with the gloves and all that.
So you're talking like the 12-inch style, like old G.I. Joe size.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it was in a box, fucking perfect. And so I ended up having, I mean, it was about the same price as a Black Series figure. So nice. I ended up buying that. And then I stood there and we talked for like, about 45 minutes, probably just bullshitting about toys and stuff. And interesting. And, I won't get into too much detail of it because I think it'll be valid for our next podcast. But the, one of the things, he had just been to the toy show up in New York. And we're talking about the what Hasbro is putting. Hasbro is trying to get people to buy this this Jabba the Hutt skiff. They need like 5,000 people to buy, like pre-buy it so that they'll make it. And you haven't heard of this? Basically?
No, are we talking like a life size type thing? Like
it's not life size, but it's fairly large. I don't know what the scale is. I think it's still scaled for the 3 3/4 inch. Figure, but it's like it's not just like I think there was a sail barge set that went out years ago, but it was fairly small. It probably wasn't much bigger than a Womp Rat. Actually, Womp Rats are fairly big, but this new skiff has like all kinds of like extra detail in it. It has like the throne room that you would have seen, like the Han and Carbonite area. It's got like a little prison cell. And it's got all kinds of different detail, and it's really, really cool. But he said, other than that, it was very unimpressive. As far as like toys, there wasn't anything that was knocking the socks off. Yeah. And I kind of got that impression from some of the blogging too, and looking at shit on Facebook. But yeah. Anyway, went into the store finally. Had an interesting exchange with the guy, and fact is today, my cousin and I were driving in Merchantville, and I drove by. I was like, hey, there's the store. Because he's actually, he's getting ready to deploy back to Kodiak, Alaska. And he's got a lot of toys that he's collected over the years that he's thinking about potentially selling or putting into storage or whatever, not necessarily moving all the way out there. And so I said, hey, here's a place. I know Jason sold some stuff with this guy or got some credit with him. So anyway, that was it. I did, against the edict, I ended up buying something, but it'll be.
What do you have to?
When you see something like that, here's the other thing, because I should have stopped and bought it today, but I didn't have cash on me. So I think I'm only going to do it if I have cash on me. Like I'll go to that store. Mm-hmm. They have there's like, so those of you at home can see this circle I'm making on the camera, right? They had a Millennium Falcon. It's about, I don't know, if you make a circle with your fingers, what is that? Probably 4 inches in diameter in its entirety.
Yeah, 4 or 5. So
they had it was a die-cast Millennium Falcon where the gear came down, had the turret on the top, and the radar dish. I had this thing as a kid. It was one of my favorite toys ever because I loved it. I love the type of shit where like the gear folded in and out and everything.
Yeah.
And I played the shit out of this toy when I was a kid. Don't know where it went, disappeared into the ether. Well, he has it. He has that fucking toy.
Ooh.
It was an act of God. If the TIE Pilot thing hadn't been in there, I would have picked the Millennium Falcon thing back up, just because it was one of the toys of my youth. I'm like, oh my God, I love this toy so much.
Yeah.
And and he has it there. And that's the kind of stuff that he has some older stuff that just you look at it and you go like, wow, this is just an amazing product of my past. And especially for Star Wars toys. And I wish to possess it.
Mm-hmm. Dare I ask how much it was?
I think it was $20, honestly. You know,
Okay.
'cause it was a vintage toy. I mean, you're talking ESB type release, you know, like 83, I think, probably is when that came out.
Yeah.
And it was in as good a shape as I remember seeing my own as a kid. So, yeah, but I'll tell you, that's stuff like that. And, you know, this has nothing to do with Thrawn, but more to do with Star Wars in general. Like, you know, seeing, like, going to a toy store like that and seeing some of these older toys. And again, I think we talk about, we'll get really deep into this in our next episode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just kind of awakens the Star Wars in you. You know, you just, you know, you talk to the guy at the store. He's like, yeah, you know, I get guys in here and we'll just, like, you know, order pizza and we'll just be talking about toys and stuff like that. And then, you know, I'll have random customers walk in and we're in the middle of this heated argument about something, you know, Star Wars related. I'm like, I could see that. I could totally see that. Shit, we do that every week for a fucking podcast. Mm-hmm. So,
and I don't know. I'll just add one little note on that. We mentioned before on the show that we're part of this Facebook group, the South Philly Bounty Hunters, whatever. I guess the primary purpose of this Facebook group is like for toy collectors. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they actually do post pictures of toys. Just within the last week, somebody posted on there the Yoda figure from Empire Strikes Back. And I'm looking at the picture they put on there. I'm like, fuck, I used to have that Yoda. And it brought back all those memories, like you were saying. Like just seeing that picture of that Yoda, I'm like, oh, I remember every little detail of that figure.
Yeah, my cousin and I, we were talking about it because I know I've said on previous on podcasts, like my cousin had a lot of the toys that I didn't have as a kid, and he still has the original Millennium Falcon, you know, like the white one.
Oh yeah,
and he said, I guess just over the aging process, it's got some discoloration, so he's looking into how he can like kind of restore it a little bit.
Yeah,
but you know, because we're talking about the size of it. And I was just like, I remember it being so big. And then like the circa prequels Millennium Falcon that came out was like, seemed like it was 3 times as big. That thing is monstrous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and way closer to scale to the 3.75 inch figure. So anyway, enough about toys. So we do a whole episode on toys.
So yeah, that was our last 3 weeks in a nutshell. Moving on. We are going to talk about a day in Star Wars because I found this one to be really good. So the day that this gets released, which should be Thursday the 8th, on this day in Star Wars, March 8th, 1977, Marvel's Star Wars #1 is shipped. Over 2 months before the film is released, the series would continue its run for 107 issues before ending in 1986. So, which I believe you have this issue. Right, that special edition of Star Wars #1 from the old Marvel.
I wish I had read the notes. Fuck. It's in this pile of shit right next to me right now. Yeah. So, well, I don't know that it's the original. It's like it's a reprint.
You said you said it was a reprint and like a slightly larger.
It's like real big. It's something you can't. It doesn't fit into the cardboard comic boxes. Yeah. Shit.
But what I found fascinating was that this came out, like it says, 2 months before the original movie actually released. I had no idea until I read this a couple days ago when I made these notes. So, and now, does this first issue, does it retell the story of A New Hope? Okay, yeah, it says it right there at the bottom. Marvel's epic official adaptation of the monumental 20th Century Fox movie, a film by George Lucas.
Keep talking.
So yeah, this was the adaptation of the movie. Now, eventually this turned into an ongoing series that had different stories and stuff outside of the movies. But yeah, and it came out 2 fucking months before this movie dropped. Could you imagine something like this happening these days where, like, if the fucking Last Jedi comic came out in October, like that is unheard of. But you know, this just goes back to at the time when nobody really had a lot of faith in this movie. 20th Century Fox, I don't think, was expecting it to be as big as it was, at least until it started getting closer and closer to release date, and they realized, oh shit, we might actually be onto something. Because there did end up being a lot of like pre-release hype, I guess, around the movie based on some screenings and whatnot. But yeah, 2 fucking months early, this comic book came out. And it's kind of important because loop it back around. Now Disney owns both Star Wars and Marvel, and this was a Marvel book back in the day, and now we're still seeing a constant stream of Marvel Star Wars comic books that we've covered multiple times here on the show. Dave has disappeared. He is gone. I don't know where he went. Probably looking for this comic. I hear him grunting in the background. He made enough noise to where the screen actually flashed to his camera. I'm just going to be quiet and just let the audio pick up the rest of this.
All right, forget it. I can't fucking find it. It's in one of these goddamn boxes.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just going on about how this came out 2 months before the movie came out.
Son of a bitch. I wish I'd fucking... anyway.
He's not paying attention at all. So
Who? Me?
You!
What else is new? Hey, look, there's a blank screen.
God.
I like because I'm looking at the YouTube feed. I like how you can see like boxes like tilting and shit. It's fucking
Yeah, I was
like
starting to be quiet for a while so I could just like see your screen and I could see like the shit going on. It was pretty good.
Anyway.
So all right, let's get into it.
It's a good day in Star Wars.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, check that out. But main topic, we're talking about Thrawn, the novel that was released last year, April 11th, 2017. Interesting side note, the paperback for this was just released like a month ago, like right at the end of January 30th, 2018. So if you wanted to read Thrawn, you either had to buy the hardcover, get the audiobook, or get an ebook. You couldn't get it in paperback until, not that long ago.
It is a long time. It's kind of surprising. I mean, even these days with the printing, that it would take almost a year. Well,
yeah.
I mean, what, 8 months? Yeah,
yeah,
9 months to get out in paperback. Seems like a long time.
And I'm sure it's probably to try to up their digital book sales because it doesn't fucking cost Del Rey or Bantam or whoever the fuck is doing the books now anything for somebody to just download a digital copy. You know, they just have to host the file somewhere, but it's a lot cheaper to do that than to fucking print all the shit on paper, slap cover on it, and then ship it to stores. The stores get their cut. And all that, where
for sure. I mean, ebooks are obviously the wave of the future. I mean, we talked about it at length before. What, you know, as people who have piles of books, I'm still more of a printed page kind of guy for some of this stuff. It's just just easier for me to read. I'm sure at some point that'll just be so antiquated that we just won't buy books that way. They'll probably price it out to the point where, like, unless you're collecting, you're not going to buy a book. You'll get the ebook. And
very limited print runs and shit like that.
Because even the ebooks now it's not like they're any cheaper. Like
no,
they're probably reasonably priced somewhere between the paperback and the hardcover, but they're not, and they're pricing closer to hardcover because you're getting it the same time you would as the hardcover.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If an ebook was like amazingly cheaper, then I probably would do a lot more of them. And ebooks that have been around for a long time do tend to be a little bit cheaper, but you know, that being said, I bought the hardcover, so I had the hardcover from back in the day when it first came out.
Yeah, back April 11th, 2017. And yes, as we mentioned, you read the book. Now, I went ahead and I bought the audiobook for the $30 that I bitched about a couple episodes ago.
Speaking of overpricing.
Yeah, but I tell you what, man, it was fucking awesome. Just the presentation. This guy, Mark Thompson, like, he is fucking brilliant when it comes to reading novels, doing different character voices, and then of course all the production quality they add beyond him with the sound effects, with the fucking John Williams score placed throughout the thing. Really, really well done. Like, I guess I can see why they charge so much for the thing. But, you know, I had my 19-hour drive from New Jersey to Mississippi, so I listened to it for a good portion of that drive. I did have to kind of stop it for a while here and there when I was either like driving through big cities and I had to make like 5 fucking highway changes within a few minutes.
Right.
And I needed to pay attention, or when I just felt like I just wanted to listen to some music and just kind of veg out for a little bit. But yeah, listen to the entire audiobook, and the production quality in this thing, I can't say enough about it. So good. If you can afford it, and if you have the 16 hours to sit and listen to it, highly recommended. Really, really good. Even if you've read the book already, I would still recommend listening to this audiobook because it's solid. It's really, really good.
And just get it done before the next one comes out.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, because we've got, and we'll talk about this at the end, but we've got the sequel coming out. And I'm curious how that's going to relate to what happens in the book. So before we get into spoilers, I want to just quickly get into a non-spoiler section. So for anybody who doesn't want to be spoiled for the Thrawn book, if they want to read it themselves, and because there are some twists in it, we'll kind of give some non-spoiler impressions first. And then based on that, you can go out and you can read the book, and then you can come back and listen to the rest of the show afterwards. But Dave, initial non-spoiler impressions of Thrawn.
I think it was really well written. I think Timothy Zahn, proves that he was the best guy to write the book because he's the one it's his character.
Yeah.
So I think one of the brilliance of introducing a character like Thrawn from the expanded universe into the new canon or into the current canon is that you get a guy who developed the character and wrote the character first to write him again, and yeah. I didn't reread Heir to the Empire before reading the new Thrawn book. My understanding is that from a character standpoint, he stays true to form. Like this isn't a new Thrawn. This is just kind of developing on what people that are already knew the character and like the character. It's just it's telling the story.
Yeah, it's basically just introducing him into the new canon.
Right.
But yeah, like you said, they're staying very true to the character. Even some of the other background stories that came out after Heir to the Empire, they stayed true to that.
Yeah, and listen, he's been in Rebels. I mean, you're limited in airtime and screen time with him in Rebels because it's you're talking about a 25 to 30-minute episode where Thrawn's interacting, and so if you're watching Rebels or you watch, like you said, it was introduced, I believe, in season 3.
Yeah.
This novel is good for getting a background of the character, and it's a springboard into what we've talked about before, where I think we're going to have the incorporation of expanding universe characters and the potential to bring them into the current canon. Mm-hmm. And I think this is probably the best version of this we could possibly get.
Yeah, and we'll get into it when we talk about spoilers, but there's so much that they open up into the new canon that can play a part later on down the line. But yeah, overall, I agree with you. Timothy Zahn is a brilliant writer. Stayed very, very true to the character of Thrawn. A lot of Thrawn's, like if you read the Heir to the Empire trilogy, the way Thrawn is, like his character traits and all that, they all are still there. He still does his business the way he always has. Overall, there were some extra characters added in this where at the beginning, I'm like, why the fuck do I care about this fucking broad and her mining company? But they eventually become relevant down the line. And
extremely relevant.
Well, yeah. And I didn't realize a majority of these side characters, they're all in fucking Rebels too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and we'll talk about that when we get into spoilers. But yeah, a lot of these characters tie into, especially season 3, I guess, of Rebels, the season that Thrawn was introduced.
Right.
But yeah, I can't recommend this book enough. If you are a Star Wars fan, get it. Get this book now. Read it. I don't care how. Paperback, digital, audiobook.
Don't you point and cuss at me.
I'm pointing to the audience. But yeah, get it and read it. Cannot recommend enough. And Bronco Fett brought up Outbound Flight. I know exactly what you're talking about, Bronco. And I believe I read it back in the day, but I also know that they took so many elements from that and put them into this book as well. So
I did not read Outbound Flight, so I'm not entirely certain.
Yeah, it was kind of like an origin story for Thrawn.
Okay.
And they kept a lot of those same elements in this one, and we'll get into it when we get into spoilers. But
yeah, I agree with Jason. Buy the book. It is a Star Wars novel. It is written by a Star Wars novelist.
Yes.
And what we're seeing now, whether you want to or not,
these characters are going to enter into our Star Wars universe. You know, for Thrawn, it's via Rebels, and we've talked about it at length with new trilogies coming out, with new live action stuff coming out. You know, these characters, as we know them, could come from anywhere, and this has been a great starting point to get this. So they did it. They did it right. They did it right.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, spoiler alert from here.
Oh, I was expecting the pee break sign to come up, not the spoiler alert.
No. From here, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. So, do not listen if you have not read Thrawn, or if you want to be spoiled, then fuck it. Then keep listening. But again, we highly recommend that you go read the book first. So, that being said, yeah, this book was fucking crazy. It went some places where I was not expecting it to go. Right from the very start, where we're introduced to Thrawn as an exile. Like it starts off, and every chapter, and you know, I wanted to open up the book to see, but every chapter starts off with a Thrawn monologue.
It does.
Okay, so
it does the same thing in the book.
Okay,
because it's almost like a captain's log type thing where he's writing his thoughts. You know, some of it's fairly profound. As a matter of fact, you know, I think one of the things I pulled out of there, I kind of incorporated into my retirement speech.
Oh, really?
A specific note. Yeah. I can bring it up while we're talking about when that part comes up, but it was very profound from a military standpoint. It's almost like a you know, Sun Tzu, who wrote the book of The Art of War? Isn't it Sun Tzu? I don't know.
Shit out of me.
We'll fix it in post.
Talking about.
But yeah, so there was this like profound like writings. You were getting like it was an insight into his character and how he thought about things, and how his logic kind of brought him to make decisions and things like that.
Yeah, and it was always relevant to the upcoming chapter as well. So Absolutely. It was always kind of like a foreshadow of like some things that were going to happen in the next chapter. And I didn't realize at first that this was like a journal that he was writing. And we find, spoiler alert, we find out at the end that, like these opening monologues of each chapter are part of a journal that he leaves somebody. And that somebody, well, hold on, let's back up, because it starts off with him being in the Chiss Ascendancy, and they, in some coy writing, they determine that he is to go into exile. Right. Not exactly the truth of what's going on, but when the Empire comes up on him, which I think the estimate is 7 years before the Battle of Yavin is when this book starts, and it traces his career in the Empire for 5 to 7 years. And the Empire stumbles on him on some remote planet on the edge of wild space, which is also on the edge of the unknown regions, which that all plays a big role. And he was allegedly exiled there when the Empire stumbles on him. And there's this whole series of events that goes on. We won't belabor it, but yeah, ultimately he ends up being a captive of the Empire, and they realize, okay, you're pretty smart the way you did some of the shit that we saw. So we're going to potentially introduce you to the Empire, the military. And along the way, they had brought a guy, Eli Vanto, I believe his name was, because he's from Wild Space. Now, I don't know how you pictured his accent in the book, but they talk about how people who are from Wild Space have an accent. Okay. And like people from Coruscant can tell if you're from like the far reaches or Wild Space or any of that. They made the guy have a Southern accent. He's got a deep Southern accent in the fucking audiobook. Yeah, Eli Vanto.
Yeah, that's funny. I wouldn't have gone like deep south for that.
Yeah. So
for him.
So basically, if you're from the sticks of the galaxy, you've got a Southern accent. Which
I picture like a drawl, like it's like, I guess I almost like the first thing that came to my mind was like a Tennessee drawl, but that's not necessarily the deep South.
Yeah,
but it's Southern. It's okay. I'll buy that.
Yeah. So Yeah. So this guy, he understands hibiscus, whatever the language is that Thrawn speaks.
Right.
So Thrawn knows some basic, but this Eli guy knows better how to communicate with Thrawn. And one thing that they lay out right from the start is that the Chiss are still like a huge mystery to the Empire. Like, it's not just like they're another fucking race on another fucking planet that's out there. No, they are from the unknown regions, and there very little is known about them. Very few of them have been seen within the known galaxy. And when it's found out that a Chiss has presented himself to the Empire and he's in their captivity, they send him straight to fucking Palpatine, because Palpatine asks for him when he finds out.
Yeah, I mean, that's we're condensing a lot of information, out of the earlier parts of the book by getting even to that point where to get him to the Emperor. But yeah, I think the significance that we have to not underplay is this the guy that they find, the kid, he's basically at the Imperial Academy working his way through shit.
Eli,
he's a very like kind of average student. He was
going to be a supply officer. He was on track to be a supply officer. He keeps saying that over and over again.
Because that's what he was. Like when he was, his parents owned some sort of shipping business, and that's what he did. Like his parents were in shipping. He knew the shipping routes, hence how he knew this language, because he had interaction with beings that had interacted in that part of space. So it's interesting that you seem like they try and paint him as like a boob, a little bit like a country boob, but in reality, because of his exposure and his experience, he was actually the most qualified guy to run with Thrawn once they pulled him in. It's like, oh wait, it's the only real guy we know that can fucking speak this language and understands like what's going on. Oh, and more spoiler alert, it's the fact that like what they're doing, what the plot line of this book.
Well,
the plot line of this book has nothing. It's almost has nothing to do with Thrawn.
No, we're just
Thrawn
getting details.
Just a byproduct of this.
Yeah,
it's what Thrawn is starting to figure out what's going on and what the Empire is doing with the help of this supply troop who knows the space and knows the mining routes and stuff like that. That's the bigger part of the story. The fact that we're meeting Thrawn as a character is we're meeting somebody who understands what's going on and can, starts kind of leading his own investigation in what's going on. But that's a little bit down the road.
Yeah, that's when Thrawn actually becomes an officer in the military. So he has this meeting with Palpatine, a very unique exchange between the two of them. Almost like a mutual respect, but also a lot of tension there too in their conversation. And Palpatine's like, all right, I like you. I've always been fascinated with the Chiss, and I hear they're very good strategists, and they have a good navy and all that. So I'm going to send you to the academy. Eli's got to go back to the academy to finish, his commissioning. So I'm going to send you with him. So you've got 6 months to get caught up to the point where he is, and then get to graduation.
By the way, I'm going to promote you immediately.
Yep.
And create a conflict to kind of test the character. Palpatine's a real dick, by the way.
Oh yeah.
He just is. All right. So real quick, I'm going to fix a lighting situation here in this room, because as the sun is going down, I'm losing my light, and I feel like that looks strange in the thing. So let me go turn on a light. Is this a good time to take a pee break too?
Hold on. Wait.
You feel the need?
Wait.
Hey, look at that. It's almost identical to the writing too.
Yeah, I recreated it as best as I could. All right, so yeah.
Very good.
We'll go ahead and use this opportunity to Dave to fix whatever he's got going on over there.
I'll take the lighting thing. Doesn't it look a little dark behind me? Well, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I watched it. Yeah, I watched it get progressively dark.
Yeah, because it's
like the last 20 minutes.
It's dark here. It's fucking 6 o'clock in the evening. So all right,
hold on. Let me time stamp this. Okay, and then we will be right back after this word from our sponsors.
All right, so at least one of us is back. Is this live? What's going on? What the heck just happened?
Fuck, I just realized I have laundry in the fucking dryer downstairs.
What, do you need to run down and take care of that, or?
Nah, it's in the dryer, so.
You'll be fine. Not that many people are going to steal it. All right, so I feel like the lighting situation is a little bit better.
Yes, much brighter.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Shadowing and stuff like that. I'll fix this. It'll be better for the next episode, at least from my end.
That's fine.
I don't have the theatrical curtains behind me that Jason does. Oh, fuck. I need one more thing.
Okay.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, I can tell. Good. No, stop. My neck is killing me. I hate this fucking chair.
All right, there we go.
Good.
Sure. Is anybody even watching?
We still got a bunch of people. All right.
7 people. Nice.
Yeah. So, all right. Are we ready to get back to it?
Yeah. You got a time hack?
Yep. Writing it down right now. Okay. And give me 10 seconds. And we're back. So, everything good over there now?
I guess. What's this you're cutting out too? What's that?
Oh, just as you were starting to say, I got to fix my lighting and stuff. You really started kind of cutting out. Your audio started getting a little jacked up, but it seems fine now.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So one theme you mentioned the promotion right away. Like Palpatine immediately promoted him to lieutenant while he was still at the fucking academy.
Right.
And that's a theme throughout the course of this whole book. Is Thrawn has a little adventure, and the result of that being another promotion, and he's constantly getting promoted over and over, while Eli, who is now like always assigned to be Thrawn's like officer assistant or some shit, I can't remember the exact title they called it, but he is with Thrawn basically throughout the whole course of the whole book, when all he wants to do is just go be a supply officer somewhere and not be like this fucking guy's translator. That was really loud. And be this guy's fucking translator and all that. So Eli's a little bitter about that. But at the same time...
He is, but I will say, too, that as we step through some of the things as Thrawn is going through the academy, yeah, he's having these adventures and he's kind of showing off a lot. He's hiding his promotion from a lot of people as well. Like, while he's getting promoted, remember that he doesn't he gets an initial lieutenant promotion. He doesn't break that out until later on. It was after the fight. There's some.
But he still had it.
Yeah, and we're also talking about just the overt racism that was there, so prevalent in the Empire, because this is this blue face alien that was progressing and making guys look bad and everything else. And not that Eli necessarily had an issue with it from an alien standpoint. A lot of other people did. They were very threatened by Thrawn, and some of this racism, against this alien was really prevalent, especially while they were in the academy.
Yeah, and that was a theme even in the very first Heir to the Empire book. I specifically remember reading back in the 90s. Thrawn mentioning, the Empire and the Emperor especially did not like non-humans in general, which is why you rarely saw non-humans in high-ranking positions within the Empire. But he was one of those exceptions, and he is again now, just because of his military prowess and all that. And that's one thing I kind of want to touch on, because I don't know when a good time to talk about this would be. But one of the things that Thrawn does, he did it in Heir to the Empire, and he does it in this, is he studies the artwork of his adversary or whoever it is he's trying to get a read on or deal with, because through like observing the cultural artwork and things like that of a particular race in a particular world, he can kind of better anticipate like where they're coming from and what they're going to do reaction wise. He did that in the Heir to the Empire series, and he does it all the time in this book as well. You all right over there?
My dog just like opened up the doors to downstairs and like standing here looking at me, so I'm like pointed her back upstairs. Yes.
You weren't listening at all, were you?
I was kind of. I was kind of listening.
This is what we have to deal with.
Well, I will say too that the artwork thing not only is something that Thrawn analyzes, but if you remember back from the Aftermath series too, or not Aftermath, Bloodline with Leia and Leia's interaction with the guy who had been collecting all the Sith artifacts and, you know, had all that stuff. You know, it's kind of this analysis of like, if this is where you want it, like, yes, okay, understand it. There's like, you can collect things for art or just collect things to have, but there's at one point, are you like, is this part of you? And it makes it part of your personality. You know, it was real overt in the Bloodline book. You know, Thrawn uses the small pieces to analyze these things that they come across. Right. So it is an interesting aspect of and quite frankly, it's absolutely 100% true. If you think about, you know, where we've been and where we've, you know, where we are currently even fighting our wars, you know, getting our expeditionary field guys to talk about like, this is what, you know, these are about the Afghani people or the Iraqi people. And like, this is, you know, certain things that are part of their culture, and understanding their culture helps you understand them more as an enemy.
Yeah.
And in dealing with the non-combatants as well. So
and Thrawn just takes that to the next level with that.
Yeah, exactly. With his analysis.
Yeah. And that's another thing that he does that is true to the original character is reading. Now, I don't know how it comes across in the book, but in the audiobook, there are times when there's conversations happening between like Thrawn and somebody else, and he will silently observe to himself, her palms get a little bit sweaty as she clenches her right fist, you know, and it's him internally thinking, okay, this is how she's reacting to these things that I'm saying. So he's using that to get a read on these people. And that's the thing. He's always several steps ahead of everybody else. He reads their body language, he reads their cultural artwork and all that, and he uses a combination of everything to strategize and always be like a step ahead of all of his adversaries.
Yeah, it's a big part of what makes him such a good strategist, because he's, you know, to incorporate our terminology, you know, he's taking that 35,000 foot view of everything, and he's seeing, you know, a lot more than most people are. And that's what makes him so good. It doesn't make him perfect though, because there's still, especially with like some of the encounters that they have, there's these, you know, where something zigs when it should have zagged, and he kind of scratches his head, and, you know, it all turns into a learning experience for him for the next time he gets into a situation.
Especially
when it happened a couple times in a book.
Yes. Especially when it comes to the political struggles, because there's a lot of political back and forth in this book, and there's just too much to get into detail here. But that is one area where he's fairly weak, is in like the politics aspect of the military.
Yeah. And there's within the book, again, we're, you know, with the spoilers, but not trying to spoil the book for you.
We're in the spoiler section, so it doesn't matter. Fuck them.
Agreed. But there's so much going on with those politics, and it's, you know, telling the story about this employee, you know, this political lackey that is working for people that have interactions with, you know, other people in other offices, to include fucking Tarkin. Yeah, thank you, Jesus. Yes. Tarkin and the another Moff, and like where she's working and playing both sides of that because of what her family's background is, you know, with the mining and everything else. And
yeah, and that's who that's Price, Governor Price. Well, she ends up being Governor Price. She starts off as just like another mining worker on a remote world where yeah, and this happens like, I don't know, like 6-7 chapters into the book. Like we're going through, it's all about Thrawn, him getting to the academy, him getting to his first assignment, and then all of a sudden the whole book shifts, and this is where it kind of took a weird turn for me, because then all of a sudden it goes to this fucking Price chick, and it's like several chapters on her and her family losing their mining company, and the Empire getting involved in this mining situation that's on her planet, and then her eventually going to Coruscant, and I'm like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything?
Well, let's analyze that for a minute, because I think that this is a really important part of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, and I trust me, I understand now. It's just at the time as I was going through this, I'm like, what? Why am I hearing this?
Yeah, until you really get to the end, and as Thrawn's doing his analysis and kind of chasing. All right, this isn't necessarily Thrawn's primary mission, but he's like kind of on the side. He's got Eli like looking, hey, investigate this, investigate that, to try and piece together what's going on.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Ultimate spoiler alert. He's tracking down the shipments and the things that they're using to build the Death Star.
Yeah, because that's a whole thing that's running in the background. This Dunium. They constantly are talking about this Dunium, how like it's constantly like either like the market is skyrocketing, the Empire stockpiling a bunch. There's a bunch that's going missing, and that's all in the background as we're going through this story.
And what I found really amazing is like what Palpatine is doing is he's utilizing like smugglers and these other people to what the fuck are you doing?
I've got a string in the back of my shorts. I was trying to pull off.
Jeez, it looked like you were trying to. Looked like that's not a string. That's a goddamn tow cable. Jesus Christ, dude. I don't even know what the hell I was talking about.
We were talking about the Dunium, the Empire.
I don't like the fact that you're able to distract me more.
I know, this is great. The tables have turned.
Damn it, it's all about Jason.
Yes. The day is mine.
We'll fix that.
I'll take famous titties for 300.
Anyway, it's the fuck, I did.
The Empire's using smugglers.
The Empire basically, in order to hide the fact that they're building this and like what they're doing as a subterfuge and using smugglers and doing things that are keeping, kind of keeping people off the scent of like, where's all this stuff going? Internal to the Empire, there's only a handful of people that know what's actually going on. Which doesn't include the ISB, because when Thrawn's interacting with the ISB, they don't know what's going on, and we get names that Thrawn's interacting with here that come up much later in like Aftermath and everything else. When we're talking about guys that are on the ISB, we see names that pop up later on.
And that's something that like we could have a whole side episode on, is just the ISB themselves, because they play a fairly big role in this at certain points in this book.
Yeah, because this is where Colonel Yularen is in this heavily, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like a lot of these characters are apparently all in Rebels. Fucking Governor Price, Arinda Price is her full name. Price is in Rebels. Colonel Yularen is in Rebels. A couple other people, obviously Thrawn. So yeah, I didn't know this at all as I'm reading this book. I had no fucking clue until I read the shit afterwards.
Because let's focus on Clone Wars.
All right, I'm gonna need you to let that go already.
Nope, can't do it. We haven't. It hasn't been talked about enough on the podcast itself, so it's.
Apparently not. So
that's been in our closed circle. So now,
but no, you mentioned that, with this Dunium, and Thrawn is basically piecing together the fact that the Empire is trying to secretly build this Death Star. He doesn't know what it is yet. He just knows it's not like a series of ships. It's like one super weapon.
Right.
And throughout the course of the book, he figures it out, all the way to the point where at the end, he even says, so where are you building this Death Star? He even refers to it by name. So he's pieced enough of the puzzle together to.
Right. And he's when he's with the Emperor when he says that.
Yeah.
It's he's smart enough that he knows that he has to keep the secret, but at the same time he wants the Emperor to know that I know what's going on.
Yeah.
So, and I'll tell you, it's one of those where it's like, okay, how do you proceed from there? Like, okay, so you have, Thrawn knows about your super weapon. So how is the Emperor going to handle that?
Yeah, and
how is he going to utilize that for the future? Yeah,
and as smart as the Emperor is, he was even thrown off when when Thrawn mentioned this to him. He's like, "How did you know about that?" and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I mean,
I find it interesting that I don't think the Emperor can read Thrawn as well as Thrawn could read the Emperor.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? I think it based on his race being a Chiss, that I think that the Emperor, it's one of those things that kind of they're drawn to each other about, is that he doesn't understand his race and can't read him like he can. He can't control him like he can control others. I mean, he obviously tried, like, especially by putting him through the academy and trying to, he's imposing this level of control over Thrawn. And it's kind of an overtone in the book that comes up later where it's like, okay, yeah, you've got me in this position. You've made me, an admiral. We've moved all the way up to this position where I'm now like commanding ships and things like that. But you understand that I'm working towards the goals of the Emperor because that's what I've chosen to do.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily my end game.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, it kind of, as we get to the end of the book, you realize that, like, whereas the Emperor probably thinks he's playing Thrawn, Thrawn's really playing his own game. He's got his own thing going.
And you always get that feeling from the very start when they first found Thrawn. You always, like, kind of had it, at least I did, had it in the back of my head, like, I don't think that, everything that he's telling us is 100%,
right.
Honest.
He's playing the side that he feels like is going to be the stronger side. Like, and how's this going to benefit me and ultimately benefit my race and my people?
Yeah, and that's like one of the big revelations that comes out at the end. But just to kind of like tie up what actually happens in the course of the book, it basically becomes two stories that eventually converge, and that's Thrawn and his ascendance through the Imperial Navy, and then Arenda Price and her dealing with losing her family's mining company, and then basically playing the political game to ultimately get it back for her and her family. So she's got to go to Coruscant, play the whole mining thing, all kinds of other characters that get involved. Too many to talk about here. We'll be here for fucking 4 hours.
I find it interesting that I don't believe, and I could be wrong. It's been a while since I read the book, but I feel like that Tarkin doesn't get the Death Star without the interaction that the Price is playing on both sides, and with Thrawn's involvement. Like, Thrawn has a parallel timeline going with the ascendance of Price, and that ultimately having to play Tarkin against the other Moff, that's what ultimately gets her what she needs, and also puts Tarkin in kind of sole possession of, like, you're going to be the guy that's going to be running the Death Star. I don't know that happens if Thrawn's not involved.
What is happening back here?
That's a good point. And I know they mention some storylines. They basically just briefly touch on some stories that happen in Tarkin too, which I have not read that, but I found out after the fact that, this stuff that they referred to happened in the Tarkin novel, and we'll have to have another episode about that. But it's like you said, Thrawn and Arenda Price kind of coming, like, ascending the ranks in their respective sectors, one military, one civilian, and their storylines kind of converge a couple times. And also in the background, it's Thrawn mostly chasing down like smugglers and like kind of rebels, and the main person that he's up against is somebody called Night Swan.
Right.
And ultimately, like, all the stories kind of converge into one thing. Like, Thrawn keeps getting promoted, eventually gets his own ship. Eli's still with him, never getting promoted. And then ultimately, this Night Swan that he's been tracking for years ends up on Arenda Price's, or a world like under Arenda Price's governorship, because that's where her parents are. And there's this big showdown, lots of deaths, but ultimately,
you see where her ultimately her allegiances are, and where, like, it's not just about, like, what she's willing to do to maintain her power. The level of power. Yeah, because she basically she's willing to kill. Basically
kills Imperials, because her main goal at this point was to just get her parents out of that world safely before the shit goes down. So she, like, threw everything else to the side, killed this Imperial dude. She was kind of responsible for a lot of the casualties that happened in this confrontation. But
almost 100% of them. Yeah.
And what was cool though was, like, Thrawn's pursuit of Night Swan kind of came to this crescendo where they had a face-to-face meeting. Thrawn reached out to him. He's like, all right, I want to talk to you. Tell me where you want to meet and we'll talk. And the two of them, they found like a neutral location and they met, and it was a really cool exchange between the two of them. And that's kind of how this whole conflict ended. And Thrawn basically ended that conversation with like, look, tell your people to throw down their arms. We'll roll in. We'll clean the shit up. You would be a great asset to the Chiss Ascendancy. I'll tell you where to go. You can go join my brothers over in the Chiss Empire, and you know, you'd be very useful. And Night Swan's like, well, I appreciate it, but no. And so he refused his offer, and then he went down to the planet, and that's when all the shit went down. But it was a really, really cool exchange between the two of them, like two like brilliant military minds almost.
Yeah, because Night Swan had been almost one step ahead of him, Thrawn, the entire time.
Yeah,
you know, up until this point, where Thrawn just had basically built a trap for him. So
yeah, it was really cool though. Again, just the way Timothy Zahn wrote this, such a good interaction between those two, between Thrawn and Night Swan. And then, eventually the shit goes down. Thrawn gets his final promotion to Grand Admiral, and that's when he goes to Palpatine, and they have the conversation. He's like, so, where's this Death Star that you've been building? And Palpatine's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And blah, 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 blah. So, and that's kind of where the book ends, but then we'll get into a couple little details that I want to talk about. First, when Thrawn had his first interaction with Palpatine, he mentioned that he had an exchange with Anakin Skywalker.
Right.
So, and that was one of the things that kind of helped Thrawn get into the Emperor's good graces when they had that first meeting. He's like, oh, yeah, it's Anakin Skywalker spoke very highly of you, you know, talking to Palpatine. And we never got the details of that interaction. They had a couple more little hints of it throughout the book, but we never found out exactly what happened between Thrawn and Anakin during the Clone Wars.
Right.
So, and then at the very end of the book, after he's talked to Palpatine for the second time, Vader comes in.
Right.
And then he has a meet and greet with Vader. It's like, oh, nice to meet you, Lord Vader. And they never really tell us if he knows that Vader is Anakin, but knowing Thrawn, he's got to. Or he's gonna.
I got the impression that Thrawn kind of like had already made the connection.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not like Thrawn was ignorant of Vader. They just didn't really interact that way, you know, in the book. I think that Thrawn. I think ultimately you figure out Thrawn. You can figure out that Thrawn knows.
Yeah, and if he doesn't, he'll figure it out within like 5 minutes of talking to Vader, probably. Yeah. And this is also when Thrawn's true motives are revealed. Palpatine always kind of sensed that it wasn't just, you know, just him being exiled and then them finding him. He reveals that, yes, under the guidance of the Chiss Ascendancy, we decided to pretend exile me into this planet,
right,
leading the Empire there. And it was basically Thrawn assessing the Empire and whether or not they can be allies to the Chiss Ascendancy, because one thing that he mentioned from early on is that in the unknown regions where it's very uncharted, don't know a lot of what's out there. That's where the First Order eventually went or was created. Right. There were like threats more powerful than the Chiss Ascendancy or the Empire or anything else, like evil, like super powerful threats. Doesn't elaborate at all, but the Chiss Ascendancy is basically looking for allies if they need them whenever the time comes to confront these people.
Right. One
theory I saw was the Yuuzhan Vong, because they were originally from the unknown regions.
And if anybody knows anything about that, knows that they came in there and they tore shit up. You know, they basically took over and defeated anything that was thrown at them, especially through the New Republic. Yep. And you had the Imperials, you know, way off in the distance.
Yeah, the Remnant.
The Remnant staying out of it. And that was a really, really good storyline. But one that got tedious into like book 17. You know, 16,
out of 17. Like 23.
Yeah, it was, you know, it came back around towards the end, but some of it was just like, all right, that's gross, and I don't want to think about some human being assimilated, you know, for lack of a better term, into the Yuuzhan Vong.
Yeah, but they, they open this door. So, like, they open so many doors. First, they open this door to the Chiss Ascendancy. Like, they are now canon. Their empire in the unknown regions is all canon. Which, by the way, I thought it was funny. They did briefly touch on how Thrawn's been helping Palpatine chart the unknown regions, which is paid off in the third Aftermath book that we talked about. But he left out the actual location of the Chiss Ascendancy. You all right there?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, as he's mapping out the unknown regions for Palpatine, he is purposefully not is that Kathy or somebody distracted?
It was Kathy fucking with me.
Yeah.
She gave me shit because the lighting situation, she told me that I would end up having to move my stuff this way. And I did. So now she's gloating.
Ah, gotcha.
So, yeah.
They're always right. That's just the way it goes.
Indeed.
But either way, they're opening up all these potential doors for places to explore down the line in this new canon. So I'm really excited with what they've teased and what they've introduced and what they're kind of like opening up for us to.
That's the most exciting part of the whole thing. I truly believe that this book, when I saw it, when I read it rather, is really it's the awakening of the expanded universe and bringing expanded universe in. Mm-hmm. Again, Thrawn being in Rebels and things like that, that's probably also a big part of it. But I read this first before I watched it happen in Rebels. You kind of knew it was there in Rebels, but not having read it or watched it in Rebels, it wasn't really a real thing until I was like, fuck, here's this whole novelization. And oh, by the way, we have another book coming out.
Yes.
We have a second book that is going to take place, we're assuming, at some point.
Probably soon after this, honestly. Unless, well, I guess it depends on how Rebels ends. This could take place after Rebels because we don't know what the fuck's going to happen in Rebels. I hope they don't kill Thrawn off, by the way, in Rebels. I'm going to be super fucking pissed if they do, especially after reading this book.
I don't know. I was watching, I've been posting on the, for Facebook, I've been reposting like the Star Wars show. Cause I know you don't necessarily like the people that are, hosting the show, but I think that some of the content has been very, very good. They kind of showed like they had a special viewing of the last 4 episodes. Like people, they had them in the theater and said it's just really amazing ending for it. Whether to kill Thrawn off or not, I mean, who's to say? You can't project Thrawn all the way through the Skywalker saga. It'd be really, really difficult to do unless he disappears back to the Chiss Ascendancy.
That would be great.
Which is possible. I mean, it's entirely, we don't know.
He could have been the Advon team going out into the unknown regions, waiting for the rest of the Empire to get out there,
Yeah.
So I just hope they don't kill him off. That's all. Because like you mentioned, we've got the next book coming out July 24th of this year. So what are we in? March, April, May, June, July. So 4 months, a little over 4 months from now, we get the sequel, which apparently has a lot of Vader in it. And I guess the alliance is between Thrawn and Vader. And hopefully we'll get the rest of the details of that Anakin story.
Yeah, because what I'm looking at is I'm actually looking at the Wikipedia for Thrawn alliances, and it's got Thrawn and Vader on the cover together. So I mean, that's fairly obvious. I've already pre-ordered it, obviously. So then I'll get the hardcover when it comes out. I guess there was a big thing about Timothy Zahn, like saying that it's not like he wrote the first book and waited and wrote the second book. Like he wrote basically the other book right away.
Yeah, he turned in the final draft of this like over a year ago.
Yeah, so
for alliances,
he says it was already written and turned to the publisher 2.5 weeks before October 6th of 2017.
Yeah,
so. It's just interesting. It's interesting, the timelines.
Yeah, and this is actually coming out at a very convenient time for me because that's when I'm going to be in between my 2 main courses that I'm down here for. So this is something that we're gonna have to do like the second it comes out, like fucking bang this thing out. And
you're gonna have to get it and read it quick.
Yeah, because after reading the first one or listening to the first one, I fucking loved it, and I can't wait for Alliances now.
Yeah, same. So that being said, we alluded to it a little bit early on. The comic adaptation.
Yeah.
Will that be finished? That's only a 5-book series, right?
5 or 6, but yes, the last issue of that comes out like 3 weeks before Alliances comes out. So they planned it out pretty well.
That's the worst ever.
Yeah, right.
The sneeze that like and it never happens.
Look into a bright light. If you're about to sneeze, look into a bright light and it'll trigger it. Like stare right into a light.
No.
All right. Well, you've lost it. So I can't help you with it.
I mean, it's like, what? Why a bright light? Why?
It triggers something in the eyes, and it keeps the process. Trust me, do it. Like as soon as you start to feel one
bright ass light right here, and I'm staring at it.
It's been like fucking 5 minutes since it fucking started. You've lost it already. So like I'm talking like the moment you feel it coming. Look at the light, and it'll trigger it.
Oh my god! You know what?
Any listeners out there who can
next
vouch
time
for
I'm
that.
just going to sneeze on the air. That's it. I'm just going to blow out the entire fucking screen. I'll throw snot all over the camera.
It can't be louder than that fucking Diet Coke opening that you had earlier. That shit was like really loud.
I was like, how close can I get the microphone into the?
That's good. Dip it into the. That's good. Oh my god.
See, I don't really have. There's no feedback mechanism into my own headphones, so I have no idea how loud that is.
It's loud. Trust me. So you'll hear it on the episode playback. So. Anything else on Thrawn? I know we kind of like really pushed through the details because if we went into detail, we'd be here.
If we went blow by blow for this book, it would be as long as the goddamn audiobook.
Yeah.
No, I don't really. There was a lot of stuff after I read Thrawn, and then as we were doing and talking about other things and making connections about what the Empire is doing. And I think we alluded to it when we had John on, where we were talking about The Last Jedi, and the thought that like the Empire and like there's constantly things going on in the background. It's not as cut and dry as you would think it would be. From a story writing standpoint, it's really clean to have the good guy and a bad guy in a movie and make those lines very, very distinct. However, like in a novel and all these other things that had happened, you had to figure something like this was going on. You had to figure that even within the Empire, like if we were the United States and we were building some fucking super weapon, actually, we've already done this. We did it in the fucking 50s and 60s with even
with
before that, we did it with the Manhattan Project. We did it with the Saturn V rocket as we were building that to get ready to send people to the moon. Like it was this like, hey, look over here, what we're doing. Meanwhile, we're fucking shoving money and resources into stuff that people really don't know about. So it's absolutely plausible that the Empire would have to be doing the same thing, and shows how brilliant Palpatine was at this manipulation. And can only if the Disney Story Group and fucking Rian Johnson, fucking dickbag. You hope that JJ at some point, when he, with his story, and how he's going to ostensibly finish the Skywalker saga, because I can't imagine it going any further. If it does, it's just not going to be the same.
Right. No, I agree.
No matter what, it's going to have to be different, just because things are different. But it goes to show that Palpatine's genius and all these side stories, what they alluded to with the messenger, what we talked about in those things, and what Rian Johnson never developed, what he had in front of him with the messenger coming from Battlefront 2 and being in the comic and being in Shadow Empire and all those things. He had this vision that Palpatine had put all these things in motion, and then you never go back to it. You do this entire 2.5 hour long, the longest Star Wars movie ever, and you never once really get to that point.
No,
And
never.
I think that's one of the reasons that it's so disappointing from a hardcore Star Wars fan standpoint, is that we're not satisfied. We're not because of that lead in, and where everything you look at shows that how brilliantly Palpatine manipulated these things and how he had the foresight to do something like set up the First Order, tee up the First Order so that was ready. Where Snoke came from and everything else like that, we don't know yet. We just don't know. I mean, it's all hearsay and speculation.
Right.
But at the same time, it really just shows that if JJ can do it right, if JJ can kind of close the loop on what Palpatine, how good Palpatine was, and if ultimately people get that figured out, then Palpatine can still be the ultimate villain. Yeah. He could still be the bad guy
because he's the one who put all of this into motion.
All of it. And how Snoke came involved in it, and again, it's tough. It's really, really tough for us, especially. And John alludes to it when we have him on the podcast as a guy who doesn't read the novels and doesn't get into the depths that we get. It's tough to kind of talk around and not imagine this information because we have it. We have this information, and it is canon.
Yep.
And for it to be so blatantly ignored in The Last Jedi was what was so damning to me.
Yeah, and I think the thing is I think you have two independent mindsets going on here. You've got the Lucasfilm story group that are doing a good job laying the groundwork in these comics, the novels, and everything else. We've got all these tie-ins between them, even in Rebels. We've got all these cool interwoven tie-ins between all the novels and comics and the TV show.
And you know what? There's make no mistake that Dave Filoni and George Lucas have a very close relationship, and I think that's why you see a lot of it. There's a lot of it's a symbiotic relationship. You know what I mean? It seems that's why it seems to flow so well.
Mm-hmm. But then you've got on the other side, you've got these directors doing their own thing, and Kathleen Kennedy gave them that flexibility. Like, you can do whatever you want. So they probably know all these stories exist, but they don't care. They want to tell a different story, and they don't want to relate it back to all this other shit that's being introduced in this extra canon and all that. So
we'll see. We'll see what happens with JJ, because I don't know that based on how you can't be ignorant to the fact of what happened with The Last Jedi and what's happening with the story. And if you look, Thrawn's going to sell. The Thrawn Alliances, that book sold they sold a lot of books. I bet you they're selling a lot of comics, and they're going to sell a lot of the Alliances book. And they have to come to some realization and like, you know what, we can't be ignorant to the fact that there is a much broader audience here. Especially look at the popularity of Rebels and what's going on. Even if people are just turning on to it this season because you have these characters that they're going to have to do something with, they're doing a brilliant job of it. People are like, is this going to go? Is it the nuclear option, or are we just Rogue One-ing everybody?
Yeah.
And the fact that that's even a viable plot line or a viable storyline shows that you can't be writing a movie and be ignorant to it. You can't have this parallel Star Wars universe that's going on. Otherwise you might as well have kept the expanded universe. Yeah. Why even have this other thing? You have to tie the movies into it, and not just with like a cute, like, oh, here's a picture of the ghost and something like this.
Or here's the compass that Luke took in Battlefront.
Yeah, exactly. And then ignore every other fucking thing that Battlefront 2 was talking about. Except for the evacuation of the goddamn planet, which happened in the story update for Battlefront 2. So I again, it all comes back somehow to the cinematic universe, where we're like, ultimately we lay all our hopes and dreams is that JJ saves it somehow. And I'm not saying he has to relate everything to like what's going on at Thrawn, and it has to be with Rebels and everything else, but you certainly can't be oblivious to it. And otherwise you're going to really hurt your fan base for the next guy, even if it is Rian Johnson, whatever he writes. There comes a point where you just have to make these connections. You can't introduce Thrawn and do such good things with it and then just be ignorant of it in the cinematic universe. I think it's just, you're dooming yourself for failure.
I would love it if he came out in episode 9. Like if they actually
Just showed up with the ascendancy and fucking forced the what remains of the rebellion and the first order to join up some sort of way to defeat the Chiss.
I mean, that'd be cool too. But I mean, even as a member of the First Order, you know, like what if he was on the Advent team? He went out in the unknown regions, helped them build up the First Order, sent him back, and then he come to find out Snoke's dead, shit's getting fucked up, and he comes back and he's like, "What the fuck?"
Listen,
and then he becomes like the main antagonist.
Thrawn would lose his fucking mind if he realized that how poorly executed the fucking, you know, all the military planning and everything else was.
Wait, what do you mean you chased him across space for like a week? Just fucking jump ahead and kill them. What's wrong with you? So that's what I would love to see. Him come back and him being the new big villain. You know, that would be
interesting.
Tight.
But that would be amazing. However, probably a waste of somebody just for one movie.
Yeah, but well, I mean, fuck, Snoke was a waste. So
well, yeah, that's again. Anyway, we have Rian Johnson to blame for that. I hate the fact that we're ending it on a goddamn Rian Johnson Last Jedi thing, but it just
technically you brought him up, so
I did. I apologize to everyone for that.
Yeah. So actually, before we close out, first of all, anything else on the Thrawn book itself?
Buy it, read it.
Okay,
get ready to read it the next one when it comes out.
So next episode, we had this weird exchange. Because this was like a week and a half ago or something like that. You had sent me a text message and you're like, why don't we talk about the toys that made us? And my response was, the toys that made us what? And you're like, the toys that made us. I'm like, toys made us do what? What are you talking about? And you're like, yes. I'm like, wait, is this an Abbott and Costello routine? What the fuck is going on?
I understood what I was talking about. You apparently were like,
I never heard of it.
And in the initial exchange too, I said like on Netflix, the toys that made us. I said it again. Do we need to go to the tape?
Yeah, let's go to that tape because I'm almost positive Netflix was not mentioned until later when I'm asking you like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then you're like, oh, it's the show on Netflix.
So while you're looking it up, and I'm also scrolling through it too, there's oh, look at that. The Star Wars New Hope at the Philadelphia Orchestra, July 20th at the Man. Sidebar. Continue looking that up, but sidebar. Thanks for bringing this to my attention because I was able to buy tickets. However, the fucking thing, the tickets went on sale at 10 a.m., right? Eastern Standard Time. I'm like 9:59 doing the usual ticket thing, right? I'm like, look, there's a lot of Star Wars nerds out there in the area, I'm sure, but I'm getting on here at 10 o'clock. I should be able to get reasonably priced seats so I can get everybody, get seats enough for everybody to go, right? No $25 tickets, no $35 tickets, no $40 tickets.
Really?
I ended up only be able to get two, the cheapest ones I could get. I got two $50 tickets.
Wow.
I could have got shit in the fucking up, the pit area or whatever, but those were like $100 a piece.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
You knew this was going to be popular. We've been talking about it since you saw Home Alone and we saw Indiana Jones. Like,
no, this is completely different. That was on April 18th, John Williams is coming to conduct the Philadelphia Orchestra at the Verizon Hall. This is a completely different thing. I didn't know this was happening until you showed it to me.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. This is them showing the movie and playing the score.
Right, but it's at the Man. This isn't.
I don't give a shit where it is. It's just what they're doing.
It's a much bigger venue, is what I'm telling you. Yeah. And based on this venue, you would think that be able to get a $25 ticket fairly. They actually have a lawn area which I don't think is for sale.
Well,
did you ever find it, by the way?
Talking to me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've got it queued up, but no, I want to finish this discussion first because you knew this was going to be super fucking popular when this happened, and we've been talking about it. And of course, the shit's going to happen while I'm fucking gone. They're going to show A New Hope, and they're going to have the fucking orchestra playing there live, like what happened when we saw the Indiana Jones and all that. And
it's going to be the best
miss it. Yeah, it's going to be the best, and I'm going to fucking miss it. God damn it!
It's going to be so great.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad about that. You have no fucking idea.
Oh no, I have an idea for sure.
Yeah, imagine if you couldn't see it because you had to go do some bullshit for work.
I'd be upset. Yeah, I'd be very upset, like you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
But I'm at the other end of that. I'm the proud owner of 2 tickets. So,
I mean, my only hope is that this is so popular and so in demand that they decide to keep doing it, and then they eventually do like Empire down the line. Because I think Empire listening to that score live would be fucking fantastic,
Dude.
especially the asteroid scene. Oh god.
yeah, they're just it's so much money. They make so much of the monies by doing this, and taking advantage of it. And maybe, and honestly, the Philadelphia Orchestra is independent. Like they play in Verizon Hall, but like there's like all these different organizations that are in there. Like they're trying to get me, get a Verizon Hall subscription or whatever. Which, by the way, other sidebar, we're talking about the John Williams thing, April 18th. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get in there. Like, where we sat the last time for the thing, those seats would cost like $235 the last time I looked.
I mean, it's actually John Williams though, so
I know. I'm hoping that maybe StubHub, or maybe I can sneak in through a back door or some shit, because I can't fucking afford that. There's no way.
Yeah, because I mean, how many people can say that they've seen John Williams conduct live?
Oh, God.
Not many people, and like we've mentioned, he's not much longer for this world. So, yeah, if there's any way you can manage it, I mean, do it. Fuck.
Anyway, because that's sad face right now, because I can't afford that, because it's the price point is ridiculous. But however, so this was February 24th, right? And I gotta give credit to Jeff and Jess, because they're the ones, we were up hanging out with them, and they said that, hey, you got to see this show called The Toys That Made Us. It's on Netflix. And I'm like, okay. And they said, yeah, the first one was about Star Wars. And we started talking about some of the stuff they were talking about. And I knew a bunch of it anyway from like reading the making of the Star Wars and stuff like that. But it sounded really good. So that's when I had texted you. I said, the kids, this is a quote. The kids suggest we review the Star Wars episode of The Toys That Made Us.
Yeah. And my response was, made us what? And you're like, that's the show. I'm like, I'm lost. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm lost. So I did a screen grab of The Toys That Made Us.
Yeah, and that's when Netflix came in. And then it's like, oh, okay, so I guess this is a show he's talking about.
But I said in the beginning, review the Star Wars episode of The Toys That Made Us.
You didn't capitalize anything in The Toys That Made Us.
Oh, fuck you. And
it was all lowercase. It was all like a run-on sentence. No, you didn't put like quotations around.
Fuck off. Look, you know what? You could have said anything. You could have said, like, look, I ran 7 miles today. I'm dehydrated. I don't, I'm not thinking clearly. The crock pot is pouring poisonous gas into the room.
I'm screenshotting this, and I'm going to put it on fucking Instagram, and we'll let the listeners decide. Because you are not very clear.
Don't include the part that says it might be time to start making a couple of new Google accounts a day to get us to 100. You go ahead.
Screenshot. I did. I screenshotted.
Go ahead. I'm not scared. It's perfectly. It's not as crystal clear, but it's definitely clear that it's an episode of something. Not like telling you, hey, like you're made of toys. Which is the way you made it sound like. You're like,
no. It's like you said, the toys that made us. That made us do what? What are the toys making us do?
Oh my God, Jason.
Because you weren't clear, and I had never heard of this show before. So anyway, that is what we're going to talk about.
It's fucking binary.
Yeah,
well, that's what I'm going to do.
Right. So it's on Netflix right now, right?
It is.
Yeah. So watch it before next week, because that's going to be next week's episode.
Yep. Yeah, it's episode 1. It's on Netflix. I think the second one is Barbie or something, but it was very, very interesting. And we'll get into it a lot more, but I think all of us that are, especially of our generation, that had our grubby little paws on these toys when we were kids and coveted them when we were, especially in the 80s. We aren't necessarily old enough to have had the cards that came out that said, hey, when this toy gets produced, you'll be one of the first people to get it because you bought the fucking card.
Did they talk about that in the show? Okay, cool.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. Let's kind of save most of this stuff for next week because A, I haven't seen it yet, and B, I have to like wrap this up here within the next few minutes, or otherwise I'm going to miss dinner.
Oh, all right, fair enough. But yeah, that's the next episode. Get out there and watch it on Netflix.
Yeah. So social media.
At All Things Star Wars Pod on Instagram. We're All Things Star Wars Pod on Facebook. Facebook.com/All Things Star Wars Pod. We are All Things SW Pod on the Twitter. You can see us on Twitch, All Things Star Wars. Although we haven't really been on Twitch lately because we haven't been playing any video games. So that's until Jason gets his shit together. That'll probably be a moot point.
I might do some Old Republic on there once things settle down. The next 2 weeks for me are going to be pretty intense, which is why I kind of want to do the Toys That Made Us next episode to kind of just like be something kind of easy we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So Twitch, obviously on YouTube, we're youtube.com/UHY Delta Niner. Fucking give us go on log in to your YouTube accounts or your Google account, get on YouTube, subscribe to us, get us to 100 so we can also say youtube.com/All Things Star Wars Pod or All Things Star Wars. Before
some fucking troll out there does it and gets it before us.
Yeah, motherfuckers. There's always somebody. And I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, hopefully everybody that half dozen plus that watched us on YouTube live enjoyed it. I'm really praying that the audio, you can pull the audio out and it sounds good for the audio audience. That
I have faith. Well, sounding good. Sound quality, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We'll figure it out. It's a work in progress, but this is definitely we're back to our weekly stuff. I personally was really I was actually excited to do a podcast today.
Oh yeah, me too.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah, because like we said at the beginning, it's been like 3 weeks since we've actually sat and recorded an episode. So
it'll be nice to get back into a rhythm for that, and this will improve over time, and yeah, so it's good. It's good to be back.
Yes. Though again, for the listener, there was no break. So
even better. Bronco Fett was jonesing for an episode, so
yeah, he's like, I need it.
Some of those episodes, those podcast episodes.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I smoke rocks.
So that's it. Yeah, tune in next week for the Toys That Made Us. And until then, Dave, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
That didn't work.
Nope, it sure didn't.
All right, I'm going to stop. Hang out in Google Hangouts. I want to talk to you really quick after we stop broadcasting.
All right.
Peace out, bitches.